Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's Good Karma Success Coach podcast. And I'm so grateful that you decided to join me today. If you listened to last week's episode 202, you know that Sienna and I guess you could say, are in Sedona or finished up our trip with Sedona. So I'm recording this before our trip. And I was like, what do I feel like talking about? And manifestation really was bubbling in my brain. Yes, there are a gazillion. I really don't think you could count it, so I'm going to stick with a gazillion manifestation podcasts, YouTube videos, coaches, experts, people who channel, books. Oh my goodness, I have shelves full of books. And why do we like it? I personally think it's because it's fun. It's fun to kind of figure it out. It's kind of like a puzzle to figure things out and then see what happens and then celebrate things when they happen. Because quite frankly, we are all capable of doing the thing. None of us are more special than the other. Some of us may just have it dialed in a little better, and it could be that you have it dialed in by circumstance. And that is what's so fun about this whole journey, right? Some things may happen faster and some things may be happening slower. And that's where the work is. Like, how do you stay the course, not get frustrated or triggered or disappointed, and get off those railroad tracks? Because some things may just take longer. It's a bigger puzzle for the universe to figure out, whether it's financially or there's different components with people and things and timing and goodness, your own growth and evolution, and be able to handle what you've asked for. There's just so many factors, and I guess that's why I'm personally fascinated by the topic and the concept, and perhaps you are too. So I thought with this podcast episode, I would read a little bit from my first book, Confidence Mastery for Couples, which came out in March of 2021. And that book is on Amazon. It's also on Audible. And my second book, Life and Love Lessons, actually is coming up on its 1-year anniversary at the end of this month. And that book also is on Amazon and on Audible. So, and that book has even more manifestation type stories, but there is a very, very big turning point story for my husband Ryan and I that I wrote about in Confidence Mastery for Couples in the money chapter that I thought I would read today. And the reason why I want to read this chapter, and this is what's really important to take away, is we all have things going on in our brains, every one of us. And only we know those things unless we talk to someone about those things, right? So unless you have a really great relationship with a friend, a family member, your spouse or partner, or a coach, like no one knows what's going on in your brain unless you really are self-aware and have conversations, right? So my challenge to you today, your homework per se, is to recognize a thought pattern that you have and do something about it. Change, make a choice, make a decision, recognize it, and change the course. And that is what this chapter is about. Here we go. Here's the thing. Most couples don't take their partner with them or even try because they feel they don't have a partner who is willing and open to learn. How do you change that? Do you keep chipping away at it? It may not happen overnight, but keep sharing information and don't give up. Fast forward again a few years, and our charter fishing business bookings were up over the previous year, but financially, we were just getting by. Every month was the same pattern, and I would end up paying for something with my commission sales job. The charter business wasn't growing financially. One day, I got quiet, and it came to me. My intuition hit me over the head with a ton of bricks. Holy shit! We've been doing this to ourselves. We've been joking around, but the universe doesn't know the difference. A pattern, we were saying out loud, was putting negative limitations on our business. Here's the scene. Ryan would stand at the white freezer in our living room, rigging baits as he got ready for a charter, and say, "I am just a poor fisherman." Close by, I would hear him and chime in, "That's okay, honey. As long as we can pay our bills, we are fine." This conversation was consistent, at least once a week. He said it as a joke. I would say my rebuttal with all loving intention, as I didn't want him to get discouraged or feel like a failure for not making a lot of money. I joked along. But in the eyes of the universe, we were creating our money limitations. That day, I woke up. Yes, I woke up. As he went to say it again, I froze and my eyes opened really wide. I stopped him cold. "Ryan, we have been causing the limitations and we need to shift what we are saying ASAP." I explained my thought process and I knew I was right. That day, we stopped the joke. We started positive affirmations towards the business, and immediately the next month, seriously, we were in the black. Amazing confirmation about the law of attraction. What are you saying to yourself or each other? And that's the little segment I wanted to read. If you've read any of my books or my content, you know I'm short and to the point. I don't like to waste time or have extra verbiage. So that's also a good example of how I write in both of my books, and also how the book that I'm working on with Sienna, which we talked about on episode 202, Life and Love Lessons 2, and the subtitle is Patterns. Obviously, I love talking about patterns, evolution, and transformation. So that book also, as we talked about on the podcast, will be shorter stories that have just really great tips so you can apply them, embody them, and help to transform in your life and make a difference. So that's all I've got for this week. I would love to hear from you. Feel free to reach out at melinda@melindavanfleet.com or connect on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or Instagram. I will put my information in the show notes. And until next week, be grateful, be curious, always be learning, and you know what? Have some fun too. Thank you so much for listening.